So I just saw Venom, which is Sony's attempt to launch its own Marvel movie universe since they still have the rights for just too many properties. And you would think having Zombieland's Ruben Fleischer directing it and Tom Hardy starring would have made it better than it is, but nope. It's just kind of okay, leaning more toward a below average experience at times. And yet, and I think this may be because of my immense desire to see such a trashy character like Venom actually get justice done in celluloid, I actually still kinda dig it. This movie is about investigative journalist Eddie Brock, who has latched onto a story surrounding the Life Foundation, a bioengineering save-the-planet type firm led by Riz Ahmed's Carlton Drake, the reason being that they've allegedly been performing live human experiments after a recent space probe crash in Malaysia. Brock's girlfriend, Ann Wying, gets him an interview with Drake, using her connections as a criminal prosecutor. Then Eddie pulls a dick move and uses some confidential information during his accusations levied at the company that he shouldn't have been privy to, getting both himself and Anne fired from their respective jobs. Fast forward 6 months, and of course, all the accusations are true, and Jenny Slate's character gets Eddie back into the Life Foundation building to grab some much needed evidence, where a chance encounter gets him infected with one of 4 alien creatures brought back from space by that crashed probe in Asia. The film then transitions into a discount version of Upgrade, basically, only without the cool camera work or the R rating necessary to maintain the tone the producers were going for. Let's put a pin in that. You can generally see the intended flow during action sequences, at least when there aren't a whole lot of quick cuts or flashes, but things can get pretty incoherent at times. There are 2 instances, in particular, where I couldn't tell exactly what was going on, with the first being during this scene here, which is actually understandable since the enemies present use vision obscuring gas, but the other scene is one where the filmmakers had complete visual control of everything, and it just looks like a mess. The script smartly focuses most of its attention on Eddie getting a grip on what's happening to him with a narrow pool of characters, but I don't think any of them actually develop throughout the film. Eddie Brock himself is a static character who is fundamentally different from his comics counterpart in that he's actually mostly trying to do good in the world and isn't just in the business for personal gain. And that doesn't really change by the end, despite what he says to Jenny Slate's what is her name? I can't even remember it. Yeah, the secondary players don't really act like people, being more like the background characters in do-da-da-da than anything human. Yeah, for example, there's a guy with significant screen time that, instead of being completely weirded out by the whole situation, just continues to associate with Eddie and do his job. That's composure. I know if I saw a guy that I just met bite the head off a live lobster and then sit in an aquarium, I'd be like, peace out. And I love Jenny Slate. She does voices for characters in a lot of shows that I watch, and Landline was pretty good. Seriously, watch that movie. But her performance as Dora Skirth? Yeah, I had to look it up, and her reactions to a symbiote in a particular scene were more like dull surprise than, shit, I might die here. Riz Ahmed is just playing Jeff Bezos, so job well done there, I guess. Oh, another thing to note is the complete lack of on-screen chemistry between Tom Hardy and Michelle Williams. Seriously, if the characters were into each other, I couldn't see it. I guess that's fine though, since Anne is his ex-wife in the comics. It all makes sense. You want to know who did have massive chemistry though? Tom Hardy with himself as the Venom symbiote.
Oh, what are you doing? I'm putting my hands up.
Their interplay really is the best dialogue in this thing, not to mention the bits of sarcasm they dish out to other folks at choice moments when fighting.
Mask! Copy! Mask!
Copy.
And that actually leads to the pin. This movie is supposed to be a spin on a horror film, but with more pop and fun. But I see a lot less of the former than the latter.
Surf the web, surf the web.
The only horror elements present are the really dumb special effects placed over Tom Hardy's face designed to showcase his transition to an 8-foot-tall goop monster with too many teeth. The great majority of this film, after Eddie and Venom have a little heart-to-heart moment, is more like an action comedy superhero film. And I can't say I hated that at all. I also like the little nods to the comics, like Venom bonding with the dog, even though that was Riot in the comics, how Anne mentions he was run out of New York, or even how this here traces back to artwork from one of my favorite Spider-Man artists. Even the full symbiote coating is reminiscent of that of Ultimate Venom or from Spectacular Spider-Man. I mean, we expect these kind of touches, but it's still nice that they're there. Venom is less of a springboard to start a new movie universe than a weak ramp. The story is decent and hits all the beats of a superhero origin story, and the nods to the comics are great, but the visuals are spotty, the character development is non-existent, and I wouldn't call most of the people present characters to begin with. Still, people are gonna pay to see a talking goop monster beat things up and crack jokes, so even though the film may be
Like a toad in the wind.
it's probably still worth seeing if you just want to see for yourself how everything was handled, or for the hilarity factor. Oh come on, you knew I was putting that line in this.